Hello, we are Daryl and Robin McLaren, and we are midlife coaches in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And we wanted to take a moment and just share a little piece of our story.
So I had a major change in my life about 2.5 years ago. And the thing that caused the change, because there's always something that causes change, right? The thing for me was finding out that my husband was cheating on me. That was devastating. And it sent me whirling around, not knowing what I was going to do, what was going to happen to us. It was a really hard time. But it wasn't the first time it had happened. And he wasn't the only one that had cheated in our relationship. So what made that time different? Because we had had many good years. We'd been married a long time, loved each other, lots of good times, lots of great times even. And yet we had lots of issues as well. And so what we realized was that we had a lot of unresolved issues. Things would happen earlier in our relationship, struggles we would have, issues that would come up, situations we'd find ourselves in, and we would get through them, but very often we didn't really deal with them. And as you may know, when you don't deal with things, they don't just go away.
Right.
They don't just dissolve into nothing and everything's great. You can pretend like everything's great, and that's kind of what we did. We looked really good on the surface.
Yeah.
Really good on the surface. People would never dream of the things that were going on in our lives. And yet, they were. Because we're human. We're real. And things happen to everybody. So, what made this time different? What caused the change? It was because I took it really seriously, and so did Daryl.
Yeah.
And we realized that we were very close to actually losing our relationship. And that was really kind of a wake-up call for both of us, and helped us to see that if we didn't do something drastically different and actually work on things and deal with the issues, that we would not make it, that our marriage would not survive.
I think at that time we realized that we both had to look in the mirror. We
Yeah.
both had issues. We both had our reality. Both had our stuff. And it was at that time that we really started to look in the mirror at our life. It wasn't just looking at each other and each other's problems. We started to
Well-
look at our life.
And it's so easy in those situations to blame,
Yeah.
point the finger. Very easy. And, to be honest, that happened at first. But then it didn't take very long to realize that when you're in a relationship, when you're married and you've been married a long time, you both are complicit in that. Whatever is going on is never just one person's problem or one person's issues.
So we started looking in the mirror, and we started looking and addressing our own lives. And interestingly enough, it wasn't just looking at our relationship. We started looking at our life.
Yeah.
And over the last couple years, we started looking at our health. We started looking at our personal growth and development. We started looking at the goals and dreams that had just kind of gotten lost in that midlife muck. And in the midst of all of that, some would say, well, it was a midlife crisis that, produced this,
Yeah.
my dysfunction or my issues or whatever. In all of that stuff that was unresolved, that we were hanging on to, that we just never really dealt with, it was creating this, what we call a midlife funk,
Yeah.
where we were just
Surviving.
surviving.
Yeah.
we were not thriving. We were not enjoying life,
Yeah.
and we certainly weren't enjoying each other's company. We had moved more to roommates than lovers, and we desperately needed a change. And through that, we discovered ourself again, and we discovered the power of our mind and our mindset and our focus.
Yeah.
And one of our favorite quotes is, where your focus goes, your energy flows. And our focus was on each other's problems. And when we started looking in the mirror and started focusing on our issues, and everything changed. What was one of the major changes in your life? I mean, you've referred to yourself for years and years and years in our marriage as a couch potato.
Yeah, happily a couch potato for many of those years. And then, I also felt like I was kind of always on the sidelines. I was always watching, not participating. And I did things throughout life, but not a lot of, I didn't feel like I was accomplishing a whole lot. And I didn't really feel driven to accomplish a lot. I just thought that was kind of my personality, and I felt kind of stuck in that. And then I started becoming dissatisfied with that life on the sidelines. And so that was part of the change as well. It kind of all came together at the same time. And I got off the couch and I started a blog called No Longer a Bystander. And that's just kind of become my new way of thinking, my new way of not just thinking, but actually living. I am fully engaged in life and in our relationship, in our family, in work and business. This is like, I'm not the same person.
Not the same person.
That
You're
I
not
was
who I married.
a couple of years ago even,
yeah.
And that's very exciting to me. And one of the things that I discovered, I think, is that it's not so much that I wasn't driven, it's that I lacked purpose in a way. Kind of hate to use that word because it seems really overused, but I didn't really feel like I had something to contribute. And that kind of goes back, I think, to how I felt about myself. And I think those are a lot of the issues that we deal with in midlife. It wasn't until I was in my 40s, for sure, and into my 50s, that I really started examining myself, my inner life, my ways of thinking, the ways that I felt about myself. And that was part of that dissatisfaction and discontent. And discontent is a great motivator for change.
Yeah. And
so I found myself wanting to change, wanting to be different. And I hadn't felt that for a really long time. Yeah. So it's been a very exciting journey, very transformational.
Huge transformation.
In many ways, in my life and in my health. I've taken my health seriously and made some drastic changes that have truly changed my future and the trajectory that I'm on now. I started running. Did you hear that? I started running at 56 years of age. That to me is remarkable, just the fact that I could do that. But then it was kind of always a struggle. And I really wanted to be a runner. I wanted to be a runner, right? I didn't feel like a runner, didn't look like a runner. And it was hard. I really struggled because I was real overweight. And it wasn't until I lost weight that I really started feeling like a runner, because it was so much easier when I weighed less. And so that has made a huge difference. I actually enjoy running now, and I look forward to it. I run 6 days a week. That's just crazy to me.
So crazy.
Yeah.
So crazy.
And one of the things I always wanted to do was just for fun, it's like, I want to just be the kind of person that can just go out my front door and go for a 3-mile run. I can do that now
Yeah. Yeah.
without stopping. I do it several times a week.
So much of that came because you took your life seriously.
Right.
You decided, you made a decision
Yeah.
that you were going to change things about your life. I made a decision that I was going to change things about my life.
Right.
And together we started working on us and we started transforming our lives. And man, we fell in love again. We're finding purpose and meaning. And part of our purpose out of that is we also fell in love with helping people.
Right.
And our world is filled with people who have unresolved stuff and they're stuck in midlife muck.
Yep.
And there's freedom from that.
Amen.
There's
Yeah.
freedom from there. There's hope for a different future.
Right.
And so now we're giving back. And we are finding great value and purpose and meaning in taking our brokenness and not wasting it.
Right.
We're not going to waste our life.
Right.
We're not going to waste our pain. We're not going to waste our journey.
Right, because it doesn't have to stay there. You don't have to be stuck in that
Right.
pain and in that misery and in that disconnection, dysfunction. There is hope. There's always hope.
Yeah. Yeah. So we want to encourage you. This is just a piece of our story. We want to encourage you. We want to challenge you that if you're stuck in that midlife muck, if you've got unresolved stuff, or you have dreams and goals and passions and desires that you've kind of tabled thinking, I'm too old, I can't do that anymore. That's for younger people. If you've got relationship stuff or you've got health stuff, man, it is never too late to start working on you and go make an incredible difference in your world, in your life, and you find freedom. Break out of that midlife funk and don't let it trap you and keep you down.